On one hand, you have this. The almost unbelievable sight of a skyscraper-sized rocket descending from the sky, landing itself perfectly on a tiny drone ship bobbing in the middle of the ocean. It's a scene straight out of science fiction. And on the other hand, you have this. The chaotic, 280-character battlefield of X, a place where a single post can spark a global debate, wipe billions off a company's value, or rewrite the rules of public speech, all before breakfast. This is the core puzzle of Elon Musk. He is at once a living legend and a supervillain, a savior and a disruptor. He's arguably the most consequential entrepreneur of our time, driving force behind a portfolio of companies changing the world. But when it's all said and done, when the dust from his many controversies finally settles, what will be his defining legacy? To figure that out, we've brought together three distinct voices of futurists, a pragmatist and a disruptor, to debate which of his ventures will truly define his mark on history. Is it the company promising to save us from extinction? The one rewiring our planet's approach to energy? Or is his real legacy something else entirely, still taking shape in the digital and even biological worlds? This is the debate over Elon Musk's legacy. To really get the case for SpaceX, you have to remember what space exploration looked like before Musk. For 50 years, space belonged to governments. It was all about national pride and massive budgets. The iconic space shuttle, for all its achievements, cost an estimated $1.5 billion every single time it launched. Getting to orbit was a privilege for superpowers, and the dream of humanity moving beyond Earth had effectively stalled. The industry was stuck. Then came SpaceX, founded in 2002 with the almost laughable goal of making humanity a multi-planetary species. Musk funded it with his own money from the PayPal sale. The early days were brutal. The company's first rocket, the Falcon 1, was built on a prayer and a shoestring budget. Its first launch in 2006 ended in a fireball. The second failed, so did the third. By 2008, Musk had poured every dollar he had into the company. As he's famously said, if that fourth launch failed, SpaceX was done. But it didn't fail. In September 2008, Falcon 1 became the first privately funded liquid fuel rocket to reach orbit. It was a massive moment, but it was just the start. What came next was a series of breakthroughs that completely rewrote the rules of space. In 2012, their Dragon capsule became the first commercial vehicle to visit the International Space Station, ending the government monopoly on space cargo. But the real game changer, the thing that cemented SpaceX in history, was reusability. In December 2015, the world watched as a Falcon 9 booster, after launching its payload, flew itself back to Earth and landed upright. It was a watershed moment. Suddenly, rockets weren't disposable anymore. They were like airplanes, capable of flying again and again, and that slashed the cost of getting to space. Today, SpaceX's dominance is hard to overstate. With a valuation that places it among the most valuable private companies in the world, it handles the majority of NASA's crew and cargo flights, and has logged hundreds of successful missions. Its Starlink satellite network is beaming internet into remote corners of the globe, the footprint that is constantly expanding. And then there's Starship, the colossal steel rocket he's building to take humans to Mars. Its test flights have been a mix of incredible successes and what Musk calls rapid, unscheduled disassemblies. But each flight, even the explosive ones, pushes the boundary of what's possible, with recent 2025 tests showing major progress toward its ultimate goal. The futurist's argument is this: Tesla might save the world we have, but SpaceX is an insurance policy for the human species itself. Musk's goal was never just about cheaper satellites. It was about solving the ultimate existential threat, the risk of being stuck on one planet. When you consider cosmic threats like asteroids or man-made disasters, building a self-sustaining city on Mars is arguably the most important project anyone could work on. From this view, nothing else compares to securing our long-term survival. The true legacy of SpaceX isn't just landing rockets. It's making the dream of a multi-planetary future a real engineering problem, not just a fantasy. While the futurist is looking up at the stars, the pragmatist is looking right here at the roads, cities, and power grids of planet Earth. For them, Musk's real legacy isn't some far-off promise. It's a revolution that's already happening. That legacy is Tesla. Let's rewind to the early 2000s. Electric cars weren't a new concept, but they were a joke. People thought of them as glorified golf carts, ugly, slow, with a pathetic range. They were a tiny niche for die-hard environmentalists. The global auto industry, a titan of commerce, was powered by a century of gasoline and had no intention of changing. Tesla was founded in 2003, with Musk coming on board in 2004 and taking the CEO seat in 2008. During a make-or-break financial crisis, his mission wasn't just to build an electric car. It was to shatter the entire idea of what an electric car was. The first move was the 2008 Roadster. It was pure strategy. Instead of a cheap, sensible car, Tesla built an electric sports car that could smoke a Porsche. It was expensive, impractical, and absolutely brilliant. It proved overnight that EVs could be cool. The Roadster was just the warm-up act. The real revolution was the Model S in 2012. This car changed everything. It wasn't just a great EV, it was a great car, period. It won the coveted Motor Trend Car of the Year award, first for an electric vehicle and its sleek design. Its minimalist interior and groundbreaking range made electric cars a real option for the first time. Musk also knew the car was only half the problem. The biggest barrier was range anxiety. The solution was as bold as the cars: the supercharger network. While other car companies were barely trying, Tesla built its own global network of high-speed chargers, making long-distance EV travel easy and seamless. It was an act of incredible foresight that created a powerful ecosystem. Behind the scenes, the innovation was just as bold. Musk pushed to build Gigafactory's enormous plants designed to produce batteries at a scale the world had never seen, which drove down costs and gave Tesla a massive head start. The impact is clear. Tesla didn't just join the auto industry, it forced the entire industry to follow it. Today, every major car maker is scrambling to go electric, a direct result of the threat posed by Tesla's success. Even with fierce competition from rivals like BYD, Tesla remains a dominant force in the EV market. Having put millions of electric cars on the road and measurably accelerating the shift away from fossil fuels, and now, the company is pushing to make EVs even more accessible, with plans for a lower-cost model aimed at a sub-$25,000 price point. The pragmatist's case is grounded in the here and now. Colonizing Mars is an amazing idea, but its payoff is theoretical and generations away. Tesla, on the other hand, is tackling an immediate crisis: climate change. Its impact can be measured in tons of carbon that aren't being pumped into the atmosphere and cleaner air in our cities. For the pragmatist, this is Musk's true legacy. Not the promise of a backup planet, but the action of helping to save this one. So, we're left with two giants: SpaceX, the potential savior of our species, and Tesla, the potential savior of our planet. It's a classic debate: long-term survival versus immediate well-being. Before we bring in our third expert to throw a wrench in things, if you're finding this debate as fascinating as we are, take a second to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You'll want to see how this argument ends. Just when you think it's a two-way race between rockets and cars, our disruptor steps in and argues that we're looking in the wrong direction. They say Musk's most profound legacy isn't being built in a factory or on a launch pad. It's being built in the invisible worlds of information and consciousness. This is the case for his wildcards, X and Neuralink. First, Musk's $44 billion purchase of Twitter in 2022 was one of the most talked about, chaotic takeovers ever. He bought what he called the world's town square to turn it into a haven for free speech and an everything app. The transition has been turbulent. The bird logo is gone, replaced by an X, and the platform officially moved to the x.com domain in mid-2024. The results have split the world. Supporters see Musk as a hero of free speech, liberating the platform from a perceived bias. Critics point to a rise in misinformation and an exodus of advertisers, with some reports suggesting millions of users may leave the platform in 2025. Through it all, Musk is pushing ahead, planning to integrate banking, streaming, and advanced AI. And then there's Neuralink. Founded in 2016, this is where things get really sci-fi. The mission is to build a brain-machine interface. On the surface, the goals are noble. Help people with paralysis control devices with their minds and one day cure blindness or deafness. The company has FDA approval for human trials, and as of mid-2025, the first patients have already shown they can play video games and post on social media just by thinking. The company has ambitious plans to expand, including a project called Blindsight that aims to restore vision. But the long-term goal is far bigger, merging human consciousness with artificial intelligence. Musk sees it as a way to keep humanity relevant in a world of superintelligent AI. It's a goal that walks a tightrope between medical miracle and ethical nightmare, raising deep questions about what it even means to be human. The disruptor's argument is that SpaceX and Tesla build machines, but X and Neuralink are trying to re-engineer humanity itself. X is a live worldwide experiment on how we communicate and what the limits of speech should be. Neuralink is an attempt to literally rewrite our biological source code. From this point of view, building better cars and cheaper rockets are incredible feats of engineering, but they're improvements on things we already had. Trying to change how society talks to itself, or directly upgrading the human brain, is a jump to a whole new level of influence. It's controversial, messy, and the outcome is anything but certain. But the disruptor argues that if he succeeds, even a little, his impact here could make landing on Mars look like a quaint, historical footnote. So, how do you choose between them? Three powerful, competing visions for one man's legacy. The futurist, championing SpaceX, is adamant. This isn't a real debate, they argue. Tesla's impact is about cleaning up a mess we made. It's fixing a problem. SpaceX is creating a future that simply didn't exist before. It solves the single greatest point of failure for our species. Who cares if we all have electric cars if one asteroid can wipe out all life on Earth? Scale isn't even comparable. Talking about the survival of consciousness itself. That's a fantasy. The pragmatist, arguing for Tesla, shoots back. It's an escape plan while our house is burning down. What good is a tiny, fragile outpost on Mars if we've let Earth become unlivable for the 8 billion people who are never going to leave? Tesla isn't just fixing a problem. Its success created a shockwave that forced a multi-trillion-dollar global industry to pivot to sustainability. That is a real, measurable, world-changing achievement, not some bet on a doomsday that might never come. Then, the disruptor cuts through the noise. You're both arguing about vehicles, they say. One for space, one for the road. You're missing the bigger picture. The most powerful force in our century isn't hardware, it's information. The real battle for the future is being fought over the code that runs our society and the code that runs our brains. With X, the disruptor continues. Musk is forcing a global conversation about who controls information. It's chaotic, sure, but it's a conversation we needed to have. And with Neuralink, he's taking the ultimate step. He's not just building tools for us, he's trying to rebuild us. If you could cure paralysis with a thought or give sight back to the blind, how does that stack up against a new car model? If you could upgrade human intelligence itself, does a trip to Mars even mean the same thing? If you're debating the destination, he's trying to change the traveler. The futurist scoffs. A chaotic social network and an ethical minefield can't be a legacy. They're sideshows. The mission has to be survival. The pragmatist shakes their head, and survival starts with a healthy planet. Everything else is a luxury we haven't earned yet. The debate rages on a perfect mirror of the man himself, torn between the practical, the fantastical, and the profoundly disruptive. In the end, there's no clean answer. Trying to pick one winner feels like it misses the point of the sheer ambition on display. Perhaps Elon Musk's true legacy isn't a single company at all. It's not a rocket, a car, or a brain chip. His defining achievement might just be the method itself, a relentless, first principles approach to solving problems that seem impossible. Who else has simultaneously taken on the auto industry, privatized space, tried to reshape global communication, and pioneered merging the human brain with AI? The audacity to even try one is historic. Tackling them all at once is something else entirely. His legacy, then, may not be a product, but a process. It's the proof that giant, entrenched industries can be overturned by a clear-eyed focus on physics and an almost inhuman tolerance for risk. It's a legacy of showing the world that the limits of what's possible are often just a failure of imagination. But the debate doesn't end here. Now, it's your turn. After hearing the arguments, what do you think is Elon Musk's greatest achievement? Is it the cosmic vision of SpaceX? The earthly revolution of Tesla? Or the paradigm-shifting potential of his other ventures? Let us know your verdict in the comments below.